What up, family? It's your boy Amarú, and we are back with another episode of A Bigger Bite, where the Bite-Size crew takes deeper dives into our favorite movies and television shows. Well, maybe not favorites. We'll see about that a little later. I am not Matt. Matt is not here. We were the ones who saw it, so we are the ones who are talking. First off, as always, usually on here, it's two gentlemen from up north from me. Nick, he's here today. How you feeling, Nick?
I'm feeling really good. I don't know anything about this movie. I can't seem to find it in any of my local theaters or anything. So I don't know how I'm supposed to talk about it.
Yeah, we would have come out with this like 2 weeks ago if half of you who are watching would have been able to see it. But no, you'll see it in a couple days in Apple. Shak, what random theater did you have to drive like 2 hours away from to go see the new Spike Lee Denzel Washington joint?
Me and Nick, we saw it in the same place. There's one theater in Toronto called the TIFF Lightbox, like based off like the film festival. And they're one of 3 theaters in the entire country who have this movie. I don't mean like literally not like the same state or the same province. I mean the entire goddamn country. We're talking one here in Montreal and Vancouver, and that's it. Everybody else, you gotta wait till the Apple TV.
Since we brought that up, let's start there. If you don't know by now, I mean, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. We are talking about the latest, newest, once in a however many year Spike Lee Denzel Washington joint that is not really in theaters at all. Highest to lowest, it is a reimagining, rethinking, not really a like redo or anything of Akira Kurosawa's High to Low. And we'll just start there before we get into it. The fact that Apple decided that F1 was enough to like go worldwide. But you have a new Spike Lee Denzel Washington joint with Jeffrey Wright and A$AP Rocky, who surprisingly does well, and you're not releasing it in theaters. Any AMCs. I got lucky enough. All the black people in my town went to our black ass theater. We're black as hell, watching this film and everything. But yeah, I just the run Apple decided to do with this compared to other movies. Yeah, this is so weird.
It's because with F1, like, even if you want to go by like name brand or whatever, like they also had Warner Brothers money. When it comes to Killers of the Flower Moon, they had Paramount money. In this case, they have A24 money, and A24 don't like to market shit if it's not like the indie favorite or whatever the fuck.
I remember Sing Sing from last year, which should have been the indie
that
favorite,
is
but whatever. That's another conversation.
That to me is already a legendary bag fumble. And how they fucked that up. And so, especially, you start seeing a pattern with certain movies that they release that have, they're leaning towards our persuasion, if you know what I'm saying. And so, they are not great at marketing at all for the most part. So, it's a combo of shite. And so, as a result, it's made things extremely frustrating for what should be one of the easiest slam dunks they've ever had.
100%. I'm trying to look up what the budget is because maybe I don't know what the fuck the budget was. It doesn't, because you do have Denzel, you do have Jeffrey Wright,
but also Denzel, like literally Denzel alone in a crime film has not made anything less than like 100 million.
Again, I think I've been saying Spike Lee, Denzel Washington, Akira Kurosawa. That's all you have to do. It's all you have to do, and at least the cinephiles will come along for the Kurosawa. All the black people are coming for Spike and Denzel, and then everybody is coming also for Spike and Denzel. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. Nick, you are not black, but you were still there. Like, make it make sense.
Not black, but still there. I like that. That's going to be my new tagline. Yeah, I don't get it. I thought Sing Sing was like one of the biggest fumbles in terms of marketing, but at least we could see it. This is like a memory of a film already, and it got released in theaters like weeks ago, and that's it. And like Shak said, 3 in all of Canada, which if you're not a geography fan, that's a lot of land. Canada, land-wise, Canada is a big spanning place. So
like, the best equivalent I could put it is like 1 in LA, 1 in Montreal, not I'd say LA, 1 in New York, and then like 1 in like fucking I don't know.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Probably.
That's it.
Yeah.
I looked up at AMC because AMC does pretty well with indies with their like I forgot what they call it, but they do indies a lot. None in AMC,
but they also don't
one
fuck
in
with
Regal.
Apple. But like AMC also don't, from what I understand, they don't fuck with Apple's whole like, oh, only 2 weeks and then you're going straight to streaming. They don't fuck with that. So they're like, we're just gonna cut it entirely.
You know what? I give them a little bit more respect for that. But hey, you know what? Okay, that we had to spiel. Everybody talk about it, and it should have been in theaters. I was just very happy that every theater I heard of was pretty damn packed. But again, most of you all have not seen it. It's coming out. So let's just get into it. Nick, how did you feel about the overall film?
I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. It's one of my favorite Denzel performances in a while. Not that he hasn't been doing some great stuff in some of the period work he's done. We'll always have politics, but it is so nice to see him in a modern story. And I think Spike is able to tell a modern story that is authentic to a character Denzel would be playing, instead of putting him into a role that is just a whitewashed role that's played by a black actor. There's an authenticity that Spike brings that shows in this film. It's the culture, whether it's front facing or whether it's just little things in the background, like how Denzel has the scoreboard from Jackie Robinson's Brooklyn Dodgers on his wall. Just little things like that if you don't care, you wouldn't have. It's just vibes, for lack of a better term.
It was 100% a non-comic book Easter egg hunt for Black people. The entire movie. Toni Morrison, the not so subtle Kamala picture on the wall.
They put it front and center.
That ain't subtle.
Fucking center.
That ain't subtle.
That not at all. But Shaq, you also saw High to Low before you saw Highest to Low.
Actually, the thing is, my original plan was to see High and Low first, then Highest to Lowest. But then the screening that they told us, because it was literally an impromptu screening. We're talking like it was something like a few days before. So I ended up seeing the new one first, and then the second, the original afterwards. And so that was a fascinating thing to see. The way, like I've said it multiple times at the end, the first half of the movie is very close to the original, like operating on similar beats of like Denzel going like, okay, with this company, like I want to take this somewhere because I know we're gonna sell it, but I really want to buy it for myself. And then the situation happening and how his relationships with him and the chauffeur. I say the one thing I did say this in the review as well, that like the one big change that I liked more in this new version than from the original is the relationship between Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright's characters. Because in the original, it's literally just like the boss and the subordinate. There's not really much to it other than that. But with this, they established that they have a close bond. They grew up together. That like Jeffrey Wright, like his character, when they got out of jail, Denzel's the one who gave him like a really like meaningful employment and all this stuff. And that dynamic helps shift their relationship with their sons, and how when it comes to the hostage situation in itself, they're like, you're hesitating, but like, bro, what the fuck? And so that I think works really well. And then when it goes to the second half, that's entirely its own beast, except for like maybe the ending itself is like it's a different version of like what happens. But that entire second half is straight up, that's Spike Lee doing a Spike Lee joint straight up.
I do have a question. Is there also, because I heard it in the ether, because I have not seen High and Low. Is there also a train sequence in High and Low? It's just
there is a train sequence. There is a train sequence, but like the chaos that's happening in the Spike version is so dynamic. Like already the first, like the one in the original is incredible because you're already stressed the fuck out, and then they're going like, there's a very small window of how we can like send out the money and all this shit, but like. With this new one, having the whole chase scene during the Puerto Rican Day Parade, plus the whole like mob of like Yankee fans, that is its own other element that I'm like, okay, I like how this switches it up in a way that's very Spike. And down to the Boston sucks to the camera.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact quote, but Boston caused the train to stop or some shit.
Yeah,
with John with Nick Turturro. I think it's Nick Turturro's name.
Yeah.
John Turturro's brother leading that shit. He's perfect to do it. Shaq, I'm gonna assume that you very much like the movie.
I love this movie. It is. I had also made like a list of like ranking all the Denzel Spike joints, my own personal ranking, and honestly, this came second. I was surprised at how much I loved this.
I have my own thoughts, but before I get to those thoughts,
I will say perfect. I won't say it's perfect, but it is. But the stuff that I loved. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go straight to that. Before we got on, Nick said, "Why don't you have New York Knicks jerseys on?" I decided to go black people. Instead, my Knicks love. I did wear New York Knicks socks yesterday. But I clock from the jump that this is a love letter to New York City. Yes. Point blank. Period. The absolute hate for the Boston Celtics and the Boston Red Sox and everything Boston, from the police interview with Rick Fox all the way to that damn train sequence. And again, John Turturro's brother, what's his face from the second version of The Longest Yard, little short Hispanic dude. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Him leading a whole train of saying "fuck Boston," Boston sucks. All of that was great. Adding the Puerto Rican Day Parade, getting Rosie Perez and Anthony Ramos, kind of like the last generation, this generation, Puerto Rican representation from New York, front and center, with just the whole musical accompaniment. Anybody remember, because I didn't pull any of this up, the band, because the band during the Puerto Rican Day Parade, they put them in the...
Yeah, what was crazy, actually, is because Eddie Palmieri, he's the leader of the band, and... Yes. He just recently passed, but the thing is, he passed on August 6th. We saw this on August 7th. We really saw it the next day.
Man.
And so
they put his band in the credits.
Front and center. And it's
front and center in the credits.
The performance is amazing.
Yeah. So like absolutely like that. This is a Spike Lee joint. You think about a Spike Lee joint, you think about Do the Right Thing, you think about Get on the Bus, you think about She's Gotta Have It. This is up there with that as a Spike Lee joint. And we'll get to the acting, because I think the acting is also extremely well done across the board.
Yes.
But overall, I had some trouble. I'll tell you this. I had some trouble with this film.
Okay. Where is it? Yeah.
I've come to realize that it's all about Spike. Spike is his own filmmaker doing his own things. And just personally, when he goes really, really, really big Spike Lee swings, front and center, no subtlety, it feels like a play. Like you're watching a play on screen, and you know how plays you have to act to the back of the audience. So you're not necessarily in it with them, you're watching them. And for a lot of the film, I felt like I was watching what was going on instead of being in the film. And what really, really brought it down for me. So overall, I like the film. I do enjoy the film. Like, I was going back and forth between, do I give it my version of like a B or my version of a C+? And I kept going back and forth. I landed with my head and bumped it up and gave it a higher, just because of all the great things that are in it. But this is, I think, what really, like, at least that first viewing kind of marked my whole viewing. That first hour. Oh yeah. Somebody said, this is a Tyler Perry ass first hour. And I said, yes, it is. It is a soap opera. I am so sorry to Denzel's wife in it, but she was not giving anything more to do than just, yes, baby, how you doing, baby?
Oh yeah, she's not great.
She's not that great, unfortunately. And I've seen her. I cannot remember what television show it was that she was in, but she was great in that TV show. And just the entire time I was sitting there, I was like, Denzel's acting his ass off. Jeffrey's doing, I will actually say, I even thought that like Jeffrey's not being utilized as much as she should right now. And it just felt like a big, before the kidnapping, if you haven't figured out, we're spoiling, I'm sorry, you kind of know that now. Before the kidnapping, I'm like, something's off here. Something just doesn't seem right. And then once the kidnapping hits, there's still scenes that I felt that way. Like specifically whenever Dean Winters, the Allstate Mayhem guy, went back and forth with the interrogators and Jeffrey Wright specifically. They also started kind of going over the top and saying really not it's like Spike said, be as racist but then not racist as you can right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no subtlety. At the longer it went, the more it kind of morphed back into like Inside Man type of Spike Lee, and I enjoyed it more. But that marked the rest of my experience where I'm like, I personally am not as big a fan of Spike's bigger swings, but I will never not go see a Spike film first weekend. I will always go see it. I will always. So I get it. I understand it. I understand his style. And I was like, okay, this is just me not feeling like I'm watching a play instead of watching a movie. And I lean more towards Malcolm X. I lean more towards, I'll say Do the Right Thing is kind of the same. But again, I feel like I'm in the fucking heat. And so that kind of was like, gave me that feeling of that whenever I go see a movie where I'm a little not as like, it doesn't meet my expectations, I start feeling embarrassed. Like, oh no, like, I want to love this, find something. I continue to felt that way the whole way. But train sequence, amazing. Denzel, amazing. I still low-key think until the end, I still think Jeffrey Wright could have been utilized a lot more. I felt like he wasn't. I felt like he wasn't put in as much until they left that hospital. And once they left that hospital, and everything was brilliant from then on out. After they found Jeffrey Wright's son, which is also Jeffrey Wright's actual son.
Yeah, I only found this out like not too long ago, maybe like last week. That like, that's his actual kid. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm not as high as you all. I do have my issues with it, but overall, I understand like the really, really well-made aspects of it. I really like, Nick, what you said about it being modern. Like, I didn't think about that, like a modern Denzel Washington role here. So,
well, because it's funny you mentioned the play thing, because that I understand what you're saying about that being Spike, but that's also been what Denzel's been interested in doing most recently, whether it's Fences, whether it's the piano lesson, whether it's even doing the Macbeth film. He's really interested at this point in his career in doing these either plays on screen or play style films.
It's downright Shakespearean, straight up.
Yeah,
to good end, obviously, to like some of it might be distracting, but like to me, it didn't really hurt too much. But yeah,
and I think the thing about, I understand where you're coming from with a couple of the things, especially the early first half and the soap opera feel. A lot of that stuff, as I was watching the movie, especially early on, I had this kind of like apprehension and wonder. Even things like Jeffrey Wright's usage, I was like, oh, well, they're kind of wasting a little here. And as the film went on, it retroactively fixed a lot of that stuff for me, because I think the latter half of the film works as well as it does because of the tone Spike sets in the first half. And I think Jeffrey Wright's character is as important as he is, and that being kind of jarring when you find out that the kidnapping, they actually got the wrong kid, is because he plays kind of a background role in the beginning. And you get at that point to kind of figure out, like, they have their origin story and how Jeffrey Wright's character got there. But when you get to find out what will Denzel be willing to do for this guy, because we didn't make it Jeffrey Wright's story at the beginning, I should be saying his character's name, but because
Paul
we didn't.
Christopher.
Sorry?
His character's name is Paul Christopher.
Paul Christopher. Because we didn't make it his story at the beginning, I think it's so much stronger when his kid is taken, because it comes out of nowhere, because Christopher is just not a background player, but a very supplemental character. And it puts a little bit more weight to it than I think it would have if at the beginning he was like he was like the brother of the family that was like, everyone is equal. Because then the question of what to do is, I don't want to say easier, but it has different aspects to it. So I like that some of that earlier stuff made sense as the film went on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and real quick before we move on, just because the same thing. Yeah. The wife's name is Ilfenesh Hadera. She was in She's Gotta Have It on Netflix, and she was great.
Oh, okay. She was on the show.
She was on the show. She was the sister. And she was
Okay.
great in that show. She's Pam King, his wife. But yeah, sorry, we could feel your presence
Yeah.
throughout it, and I apologize, you were very good at it. But yeah, you continue on from that, like, and then I guess we can go into, because I think one of the, not only the kidnapping, but also that conversation that David King has with his business partner, where he doesn't know and he's actually questioning, I don't think I'm going to pay for this ransom. Then on out is really the shift for me that you're talking about.
And I will say, when it comes to like with the soap opera thing, there was one moment that really did take me out a little bit, when it was like when Denzel was like looking at like the figures in his room, like, yo, like, Aretha, what would you do? And all
Yeah.
that's where I'm like,
James, what would you do?
James, what would
Yeah.
you do? And I'm like, this is the theatrical part that I'm like, this is taking me out a little bit, where I see where you're coming from. I'm like, this is a lot, and it is a little distracting, especially even like I was even talking to Nick about this, like the editing choices are very fucking odd, especially in the beginning, how they're using like 2 takes of the same moment. They use
I actually liked some of the 2 takes of the same
Oh, no,
moment sometimes.
Yeah, some of it works, and some of it, it's like, oh, that's kind of distracting. Like when they dap each other up and you see it again, you're like, okay, that's a little odd. But then it goes back to what Nick said. It works so much better retroactively later on, especially when it comes to the big scene between Denzel and the kidnapper. They start using similar things like that, and it has the beat of actual rap battle. And I'm like, we'll get to that, but like that's where I'm like, okay, some of this is paying off later on, but it's jarring at first.
Yeah, since we're already on here, just to get the last little point out the way for me about like what took me out.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing with that score. That score.
All right, here. This is where it's time to talk.
I do like it to an extent, but they use it a lot.
Okay.
There were so many times where I was like, this is a serious moment. Why are we having an upbeat jazz score right now? What is going on?
This score is the epitome of what I just said. Where at the beginning I was like, oh, this is jarring. This is kind of weird. I'm not vibing with it. This is my favorite score of the year. Without a question.
Oh my gosh.
Without a question. I have listened to this score beginning to end on Spotify multiple times since seeing the movie. I love it. It has the chaotic energy that I found with the Babylon score, which is a score that is very unique and almost strange, but works for the chaos that you're trying to create in the film. The chase sequence, the Stony Gate, the music on the Stony Gate is my favorite piece of music in a film this year. I love the score. I cannot go on about the score enough. I play that every time I get on public transit because it just gives me that little oomph. Like, yeah, I like piano music, but like, man, like it hits.
I see, in isolation, it is a great score. It's a really nice jazzy, like, I understand being able to listen to it, and certain scenes, like some of the more upbeat scenes, like they get the sun back thing, they work. It just juxtapositioning that kind of music with the seriousness of what is happening, especially like, but in that first half, I'm like, why are we feeling uplifted when we just found out your son got kidnapped? What's happening here? Yeah.
I want to hear.
It's a new composer that Spike hasn't worked with in most of the time. Howard Drossen. Spike has another composer that I'm trying to look up that he usually works with, and it's been the first time in a long time that he hasn't used them. But Shaq, what did you think about it?
It's Howard's first film. Like,
yeah, there you go.
I wanted to interview this guy because, like I said, I love this score. Dude, I message him on Instagram. It's like an official page. He has like 100 followers. Like, he is so new to this side of things. And to start in film and take that kind of a swing, like, I'm so curious on. I want to know more about why these decisions were made. I want to know more about the collaboration with Spike. Because I think the score has a lot to do with that soap opera vibe in the beginning. And I think that's intentionally. And I would love to talk to Spike and find out why that was his intention, to give it, as you called it, Tyler Perry vibes.
Yeah,
because it's a swing, and I'm curious. I'm curious what led to him making that swing.
It's the very first time in a long time Spike hasn't worked with Terrence Blanchard. Terrence Blanchard has been his like in-house composer for a long time. And I'm saying, like, when I heard it, especially at the beginning, I was like, oh, this it's not the same guy, but it sounds very similar. So it's like a Spike score. It's just, yeah, what I said, the big swings, those were also the swings that just did not, it again took me out of the movie. But let's go on to that second half. Just Denzel throughout the acting was great.
Yeah.
The second half of the movie, we talked about the train sequence. Let's just go on to the person everybody's talking about, A$AP Rocky.
A$AP Rocky's incredible in this, dude.
Maybe two of the best scenes of the year, period.
Yeah.
Like, if you're talking about top 10, top 20 scenes alone, you got both times Denzel and A$AP are just going back and forth one-on-one, once in the studio and once in the prison. And both, A$AP is not left behind. He's not being carried. Both of those conversations are absolutely enthralling. And when Denzel came out with the 4 to 8 bars of Nas represent, I was like, yo, that's Nas. That's Illmatic. And he started rap. Yeah, man, that back and forth. Let's start with that back and forth.
Yeah.
Was crazy.
Bro, like, I didn't think anything would even come close to, like, in terms of just like individual scenes. They were talking about like scenes of the year. I didn't think anything would come close to like the Sinner scene of like the music melding together. But then this happened, and I'm like, God damn, like, it's not above it, but it's getting close. I was so hooked on the energy, and again, like I said, the double time, the editing choices, the stylistic choices that Spike was making pays off in dividends in this specific sequence. And I like that scene could have been a whole other hour, and I'd have still been there like, yes, absolutely.
It was so good that they brought it back. They brought it back later.
That scene. The scene in jail, that is actually the spin on like the original's ending, because the spoiler alert for the original fucking film, but that scene in prison in the original film, that's the first time that those two characters meet in person. And so it has a similar kind of structure, and like we're not too far off from each other, but like you're different than what I thought you would be. The difference is that like with A$AP, in this case of A$AP Rocky's thing, he's like, yo, I'm getting up, but like, I want to work with you. But then he still gets mad because Denzel's like, nah, I don't want to do that. As opposed to in the original film, when the kidnapper is like, yeah, I just hated you because you live in this fucking ivory tower. And now that I see you, like, oh, I'm going to be fine. Like, I'm not afraid of death, but then reveals that he is really afraid of death. And then starts losing his shit. So it is a play on what happens in the original in a similar sense, but I like the differences in how that came about. Just their conversation, the thematic thorough line throughout those conversations.
Nick, go ahead.
It's just powerful. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's like if you go back to the well-known sequence in like A Few Good Men, and you're watching the back and forth, and you're just like on the edge of your seat, like, how is this going to end? And that's how I felt watching this. I was just, every time, a bar back and forth, whether it's Denzel using the Nas lyrics to lead off, or just even the scene beforehand where Denzel meets up with his wife, and you put him in a position where he has this level-headed partner. He has a child on the way, or a child, I can't remember. Child's born, right?
The A$AP's.
Yeah, his son's already born, right?
They're already born, yes.
Yeah.
And you see the bracelet.
And the bracelet, yeah. She's got the wife's signature bracelet. It humanizes him before you even get to see him with Denzel, which is why when Denzel approaches him in that moment, having him have that information, he's approaching it with a sense of humanity, where it's not like he's just coming to get this guy. Like, he's almost he's almost his judge, jury, and executioner all in one shot. And it's just not knowing what Denzel is going to do in that moment, and getting to watch ASAP as young felon and how he has no idea how this situation is going to go. Like you said, it's enthralling. Like, it is 100% one of my favorite scenes of the year, and they pick it up just like that in the prison sequence as well.
Yeah, and it so much so that, like, when we get the rap video interlude in between them for Trunks, I wasn't taken out. I was like, I see what you're doing. You have to show this. You have to see after he gets arrested the how big he feels, and like any other time in the movie, I'd be like, you're doing this again. But I was like, no, okay, let's see what they go after. And then going back to wrap up their story or wrap up that conversation, it's like, okay, as a whole, all of this works. The outlandish, the grounded, the seriousness, even the walk up into the studio where everybody in the theater got scared shitless by that dog. Because you're like, what the fuck is gonna happen? And wondering what Paul Christopher's gonna do, because you know he's pissed. It was. I think it was the end of this movie is what pushed it back over to, okay, I like this movie. I understand it. Like you said, Nick, it retroactively makes the entire movie as a whole work, even if I'm not like as big a fan of it as you all.
And even with Paul, giving him the glass in his eye, so you don't have him, you have a good reason of why he's not there with Denzel. It's not him letting him down or anything like that. Like, oh, the gunshot, the glass, he's got glass in his eye. You've given a legitimate reason for him not to be there for that part. And he shouldn't have been, because it's kind of great that he never gets to confront the guy who kidnapped his son.
I will say also, when it comes to, like, because I did mention, like, it's a very big difference, because this, in the original film, the second half turns into a police procedural. Like, Denzel's character gets almost taken out the paint entirely. They're like, we're just focusing on this investigation to try and find this dude and where the fuck he is. And so this whole action, like this more action heavy bit, that's all Spike. And so I was happy with, like, the direction that it took, because it like, again, it makes a more dynamic character. I will say, like, the one thing that, like, in terms of the ending, I like post ASAP going to jail, which also I do love that Spike used the double dolly. We're like, where's it happening? Where's it coming? And then he used it discreetly during the scene with the cops as they're telling the plan of, like, okay, this is how we're going to do the train. But, like, he fully used it during the rap video. But, like, after that, the scene when he's, like, signing the artist that his son was talking about, and that, like, the performance, the performance is great. I feel like that's the one thing where, like, I think it runs a little too long, because where the original ends is that prison confrontation. When that's done, the movie ends there. But I think he wants to end it on a more upbeat note. So I'm like, all right, cool. Then I'm fine with this performance, but, like, it does go a bit long, I think.
It does, but also I'm rooting for everybody black, and
exactly.
I'm gonna look up her name now. Everybody knows
Ayana Lee.
Ayana Lee. She's great.
She can sing her ass off.
Like,
she can sing her ass off.
Exactly. So I'm not too mad about it.
I'm not too mad at it either.
And also, like, that is probably the Oscar hopes for this film, unfortunately. Like, that is where it has its chance in the Academy.
Put Trunks in the best original song category, goddamn.
Give me that. Give me the Preacher Boy song to his Papa and Sinners.
Yeah.
Give me Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. I need those three in original song. I need that in there this year, 100%.
Yeah,
listen, you know Diane Warren's gonna come in with some bullshit from some fake ass movie and get nominated again.
Of course. Before we get out of here, any other any last things you want to bring up before we wrap this up? I know I just want to give a quick shout out to Wendell Pierce doing more in this scene in this movie than they gave him to do Perry White and Superman. I love Superman, but the fact that Wendell Pierce and Perry White didn't do shit in that movie still bothers me. But shout out to him. And you talked about the editing choice, the double take of that and the slap. That's when it worked the best for me.
Okay.
That's when it worked the best for me. It's like black men being black men doing black men shit. Yeah, let's go.
Also, wait, when Denzel found out about him, his sale getting undercut, when they're like, "Yeah, we know about this." What did he say? Was like, "Oh shucks."
Oh shucks.
But no, it's yeah. No, I really like. I'll say like, still, it's worth watching the original because the original is still fantastic, and I'd still say overall it might still. I think it's still the better movie, but I had such a good time with this that it works on its own terms, and don't look at this like Spike's Old Boy. It's nothing like that.
And this is how I want to see a remake live. Like, the films are different enough that they can exist. It's not Spike doing Akira note for note.
Yes.
It is Spike taking this idea Akira did and turning it into his own film. And that's why, like, something like the upcoming Strangers film, like, I hated the first one because it was just telling me the same story again with worse performances and worse writing. And if you're going to remake these classics, like, we know how often things are getting remade and rebooted and stuff like that. Take the swing and bring something different to it. Tell a different story within the story. And I think Spike does that masterfully here, where both of these are great films and both of them can live together.
Also, Ice Spice being in it for 30 seconds, I laughed my ass off. I was like, because they were talking her up like, oh, she's in the film. She's got a featured role in it. She's in it for 30 seconds, tops.
Yes. That was one of the first questions I got from somebody else. And she's like, she is not in this film. She is Ice Spice playing Ice Spice, trying to get a deal for Ice Spice.
Yes.
And then leaving. But yeah, man, that's this movie is, again, a Spike movie through and through. Apple, I don't understand, because I'm pretty sure every single theater experience is absolute fucking blast. I know that listening to everybody reacts to everything in the film was hilarious and joyful. And again, the Boston hate is top tier, at least for me, and this New York Knicks diehard right here. But yeah, if there's any final thoughts before we get out of here.
Well, I will just say, I think we are seeing a pattern here, because we have this film, we have Sing Sing, and then we also had Juror Number 2. And it's that when they take a film and they put it in very few theaters, it's usually pretty good. Like, they don't tend to do this with bad films.
And they do
which
a
makes
lot
it
of
so
elder
much
state
more
directors
compelling.
too.
Sorry?
They do like a lot of like elder state directors. Like, we're talking like like Scorsese, Eastwood, Spike. Like, they're really just shitting on the old guard for some reason.
Hey, but at least they're still making the movies. You all get to see it in a couple of days on Apple TV Plus. Apple TV just also doesn't market their amazing catalog in the first place. So if you have a chance to have it, go watch their stuff as much as we shit on them today, because it is good. They don't market it for a damn, and you really should watch it. And you should really continue to watch us. So thank you for joining us today. That was Shaq over there. This is Nick. Matt is not here, but go check him out on What Real Entertainment. Subscribe, like, comment, tell us what you thought about this film. If you've seen High and Low, tell us what you thought about that and the connections that you've seen. And check out everything we do on BitesizeBreakdown.com and on this YouTube channel. But for Nick, for Shaq, we are going to get out of here. Peace.